Hello, I'm the Media Wiz, because one art form wasn't enough, and welcome back to another Epic Media Battle! Now I know what a lot of you are probably thinking, hey, didn't the Nostalgia Critic do something like this? Yes, we also have to remember, reviewer dibs is not a thing. So today we'll be comparing and contrasting Osmosis Jones and Inside Out. Both of these movies have been compared for anthropomorphizing the human body and the human mind, depicting white blood cells and cold pills as cops fighting off diseased scum, and emotions as operators of the human mind, like it's their 9-to-5 job. And yes, I know that that's been done before in other things like Herman's Head and crap, even Disney did it with Cranium Command. So, which movie did it better? Well, obviously Inside Out did it better, but let's be fair and give both movies benefit of the doubt. Let's start with round one, the similarities. People like to say that both of these movies are carbon copies of each other, but when you really look at both the movies in full, they really only have like two things in common. And no, the overall premise of anthropomorphizing things inside the human body is not one of them. Yes, both movies are about main characters that exist inside a person, but one is about the human body, involving things like blood cells, viruses, relying on more human physicality, whereas the other relies on emotion, memory, thought, based more on mentality and human psychology. With that said, here are the two biggest similarities between these movies. The first obviously being when the characters operate the body, using a control panel in the brain. Inside Out has the control panel control what the person says or what they do, whereas Osmosis Jones, it comes off as more of a last resort. Then again, this is the corrupt mayor of Frank's body controlling him, so he simply can just take a cold pill rather than actually exercising. Yeah, when Osmosis Jones does it, it feels kinda creepy. I mean, technically speaking, they're breaking the laws of free will. At least when the emotions did it in Inside Out, it feels like they're trying to actually keep Riley on a fair balance. Then again, this is a corrupt politician we're talking about, who simply cares more about his image than Frank's actual health. And the second thing is dreams being represented as movies. In Osmosis Jones, there's a scene where Jones is watching one of Frank's nightmares in a movie theater, and in Inside Out, they portray dreams as being live broadcasted. Personally, I like the way that both these movies portrayed it. I like the fact that they make dreams movies to the inhabitants of the human body. But which one did it better? Well, Inside Out fleshes the concepts out a lot more, so I feel like it should win the round just out of obligation. Osmosis Jones would have won the round, but they didn't really expand on the concepts enough. Point goes to Inside Out. But what about the cast with both of these movies? Well, this is round two, the characters. For the cast of Osmosis Jones, we have Jones, a bumbling white blood cell cop who's determined to keep disease off the streets, even though he's not really good at it. He's inevitably paired up with Drix, a cold pill robot who's equipped with any remedy, from runny noses to sore stomachs. As you would guess, the movie, despite being a parody of, becomes one of your obligatory buddy cop movies. There are some other characters like Jones's obligatory love interest and the corrupt mayor from earlier, but the only other character I want to mention is probably the most underrated villain in any movie ever, Thrax, a deadly virus who has a kill streak, voiced by Lawrence freaking Fishburne. Thrax is probably the most underrated villain I've ever seen in a movie, period. I mean, this guy lives to simply kill, and every time he kills someone, he tries to make sure the next victim dies faster than the last.
You see this? This here little DNA bead comes from a little girl in Riverside, California. Didn't like to wash her hands. Took me 3 whole weeks. And this one, nice lady in Detroit, Motown, 6 days flat. And there's this old guy in Philly. I killed him in 72 hours.
That is straight up evil. Inside Out doesn't have a villain, but it really doesn't need one. To fill out the Pixar buddy quota, we have joy, the emotion of happiness, and sadness, the emotion of, well, you can guess. I really like the chemistry between these two. Joy, as soon as she even meets Sadness, wants to like her, but she doesn't trust her, as she constantly puts her in the corner as the other emotions take over the job. But as soon as they get separated from ground control, Joy has to learn to let sadness lead the way sometimes, which plays into the overall message. Sometimes sadness is the best default emotion. People shouldn't force happiness if all they have left inside of them is wanting to cry and get their sadness out. Pixar, you brilliant geniuses! There's the other emotions who are very enjoyable to watch, especially when they're left to their own devices without a proper leader. The dinner scene is probably my favorite example of this.
Oh yeah, that sounds fantastic.
What was that? That wasn't anything like Joy.
Because I'm not Joy?
Yeah, no kidding.
But what about the bodies that they both take place in? In Osmosis Jones, the story takes place in a man named Frank, an overweight slob who works at the zoo as a laughingstock since he puked on his daughter's teacher, and they establish that his daughter is way smarter than him since she's constantly trying to get him to get back into shape. In Inside Out, the story takes place inside Riley, a middle school girl who is forced to move from Minnesota to San Francisco, and her eternal conflict is that she's trying to bottle up her emotions since joy and sadness are now missing in the confines of her mind, She's left with nothing to do but just pout and brood. Until Joy and Sadness make it back, she finally lets loose her sadness to her parents. Once again, Pixar, you magnificent bastards! So which has the better cast? Honestly, this one comes down to a tie. I honestly liked both the conflicts they had going, from a little girl who is left with no happiness or sadness in her life, and a man who is a slob who will die of a deadly virus unless the underdog cop inside of his body can save him. This one comes down to a tie. Yeah, I know it's cheap, but damn it, I like Thrax and I like the chemistry between Jones and Drix, so you know what? Screw it, they both get a point.
Osmosis Jones.
But what about the most crucial element, the story? This is round 3, the plots. Like I mentioned earlier, Osmosis Jones is more or less a play on buddy cop movies, except here it takes place inside the human body. Jones and Drix don't get along at first, despite being paired up on a mission together. They have a scene where they're both fired, they have a sad montage, they both team back up, and they fight the villain behind all the crime. Inside Out, however, isn't really a conformist story. I wouldn't even say it's a cliche journey movie, as the movie throws so many creative locations and ideas at you, from abstract thought to lost memory. And both of these stories have very deeper message behind them, from how to handle your emotions to a cautionary tale of how to handle your health. But with all that said, at the end of the day, Inside Out is the better movie. Inside Out has a lot of heart, creativity, and like everyone else has said before me, an amazing depiction of what happens when you try to bottle up your true emotions. Truly, and probably, one of the best Pixar movies I've seen in recent times. But with that said, I myself don't hate Osmosis Jones. I personally kind of like this movie. I mean, okay, do I see why some people don't like it? Yeah, it's flawed. It's a flawed movie. But, personally speaking, I kind of like it. And hey, you know what? Some people may not like Osmosis Jones, but I think we can all agree that it is certainly better than Shark Boy and Lava Girl. I'm the Media Wiz, because one art form wasn't enough. Wow, go me. I was able to make that entire video in one day. Gotta say, guys, I think we're doing a really good job by keeping Steve on track with these videos. Yeah, he's doing a really good job keeping track of all of our video schedules. Although, did you guys hear what happened to the Blockbusters recently? Yeah, the store got shut down. It's gonna be one pretty intense-ass season, yo. Also, Wiz, fuck you for that diss at the end of your Gangsta's Paradise review. You suck ass for that.
Stop the rock, can't stop the rock, can't stop the